The morning of the 30-day deadline, Karen stood in her kitchen, staring at the lawsuit papers she'd prepared. All she had to do was file them, and the Hendersons would be forced to tear down their pool or face legal action. Through her window, she could see Emma Henderson doing physical therapy exercises in the pool, her face lit up with joy as she moved freely through the water. The child's laughter carried across the yard, pure and uninhibited. Karen's hands shook as she held the papers. Everything she'd worked for, everything she believed about order and rules and property values, was right there in black and white. All she had to do was file them. Instead, she found herself walking across the street. Karen. Jim Henderson looked surprised to see her at his door. "Is everything okay?" "I need to see the pool permits," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jim's face fell. Karen P's were trying to get everything sorted out, but with the medical bills and... "No," Karen interrupted. "I need to see them because I think I can help." The confusion on Jim's face was almost comical. "Help?" "I've been researching," Karen said, putting out her phone. "There's a provision in the county code for therapeutic pools. If Emma's doctor writes a letter stating that the pool is medically necessary, you can get a retroactive variance." Jim stared at her. "Are you serious?" "I'm always serious," Karen said, then caught herself. "I mean, yes, I'm serious. But there's more. The pool installation, it's actually better than code in several ways. The safety features, the depth variance, the non-slip decking. If we document it properly, you might even qualify for a safety commendation." "I don't understand," Jim said. "Why are you helping us?" Karen looked past him to where Emma was practicing her kicks in the pool, her face determined and hopeful. "Because I forgot something important. The rules are supposed to protect people, not hurt them." Over the next few hours, Karen worked with a focus and efficiency that surprised everyone, including herself. She helped Jim navigate the permit process, documented the pool's safety features, and even called in a favor with a county inspector she befriended during her many previous complaints. By evening, the Henderson pool was not only compliant, but had been approved as a model therapeutic installation. "I don't know how to thank you," Sarah said as they watched Emma and her friends playing in the pool. Karen watched the children splashing and laughing, remembering her own childhood summers. "Just let me know if you need anything else. I know all the codes by heart." As she walked home, Karen's phone buzzed with notifications from the neighborhood Facebook group. But instead of memes mocking her, she found something unexpected: gratitude. "Did you guys see what Karen did for the Hendersons? Maybe we misjudged her. She helped my mom with her bird feeder permit last week. Turns out she's not as bad as we thought." Karen smiled, feeling lighter than she had in years. But as she reached her front door, she found an envelope taped to it. Inside was a photo of her pool full with a note: "Mind your own business, or next time you won't get out of the water." Her blood ran cold. Someone in the neighborhood was watching her, and they weren't happy about her change of heart. As she looked around the darkening street, Karen realized that her real problems were just beginning. The question was, who in Maple Grove Estates wanted her to stay the villain? The sound was unmistakable. A tremendous splash followed by sputtering, and what could only be described as the shriek of a wet banshee. Karen Whitmore emerged from the Hendersons' pool like a furious sea creature, her perfectly coiffed blonde hair plastered to her skull, mascara streaming down her cheeks in dark rivulets. "This is exactly what I was talking about," she bellowed, treading water in her now ruined beige pantsuit. "This pool is a hazard, a complete and utter hazard." The irony was not lost on anyone present. Just 30 minutes earlier, Karen had been standing in this very backyard, clipboard in hand, lecturing the Hendersons about their non-compliant pool installation and how she'd already filed a complaint with the Homeowners Association. She'd been gesticulating wildly, pointing at the alleged code violations, when she'd stepped backward onto the pool's wet deck and tumbled in with all the grace of a falling piano. "Ma'am, are you okay?" asked Jim Henderson, trying to suppress a smirk as he extended a pool net toward her. "Need some help getting out?" Karen's eyes blazed with the fury of 1,000 suns. "Don't you dare patronize me, James Henderson. This is all your fault." If you'd followed proper HOA guidelines, this never would have happened. She thrashed toward the pool ladder, her waterlogged clipboard floating nearby like a defeated soldier. The laminated pages of HOA regulations and violation notices she prepared so meticulously were now a soggy mess. "Karen, maybe we should," began Jim's wife Sarah, but Karen cut her off with a dismissive wave. "No, I don't want to hear it. This pool is 3 inches too close to the property line. The fence height is substandard, and don't even get me started on the unpermitted lighting." She hauled herself out of the pool, leaving a trail of water that would have made a fire hose jealous. The small crowd of neighbors who had gathered to witness Karen's latest crusade now stood in stunned silence. Some were trying not to laugh. Others were openly recording on their phones, and a few were shaking their heads in disbelief. "I'm calling an emergency HOA meeting," Karen announced, wringing out her blazer with determination that bordered on obsession. "This ends tonight." As she squelched across the lawn toward her own immaculate property, Karen's mind was already racing with plans for retribution. She'd been the self-appointed guardian of Maple Grove Estates for 3 years, and no one, absolutely no one, was going to make her look foolish. What she didn't realize was that her dramatic pool plunge had been live-streamed to the neighborhood Facebook group, where it was already racking up views and comments. The war for Maple Grove had officially begun. Karen's home office looked like a detective's war room. Photos of the Henderson pool were tacked to a corkboard, annotated with measurements and violation codes. Her laptop screen showed multiple browser tabs, county records, HOA bylaws, property surveys, and legal precedents. She'd spent the past week diving deeper into the pool issue than she'd ever investigated anything in her life. What she discovered was both validating and troubling. "I knew it," she muttered, highlighting another discrepancy in the building permits. The pool was indeed installed without proper HOA approval, but as she dug deeper, she found something else. Half the neighborhood had similar violations. Her phone buzzed with another notification from the Facebook group. The video of her pool fall had gone viral within the community, spawning memes and earning her the nickname, Pool Patrol Karen. The comments ranged from mildly amusing to downright cruel. "Maybe she should patrol her own balance first," read one comment that had 37 likes. Karen closed the laptop harder than necessary. She'd been called worse things, but seeing her neighbors mock her still stung. They didn't understand that she was trying to help them. A knock at her door interrupted her brooding. Through the peephole, she saw Sarah Henderson standing on her porch, looking nervous. "What do you want?" Karen asked through the door. "Can we talk, please?" Against her better judgment, Karen opened the door. Sarah looked genuinely distressed, her usually cheerful demeanor replaced by exhaustion. "I brought you something," Sarah said, holding out a plate of homemade cookies. As an apology, Karen stared at the cookies suspiciously. "If you think baked goods are going to make me drop the complaint, that's not why I'm here," Sarah interrupted. "I wanted to explain about the pool, and to apologize for laughing. It wasn't right." Despite herself, Karen found her resolve wavering. She stepped aside to let Sarah in. "We didn't mean to violate any rules," Sarah said, settling into Karen's pristine living room. "Jim's been out of work for 6 months, and when his brother offered to help install the pool as a surprise for our daughter's birthday, we didn't think about permits." Karen felt something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. "You should have checked with the HOA first." "You're right," Sarah admitted. "But Karen, Emma's been going through a really hard time. The other kids at school, they've been teasing her about her leg brace. The pool was supposed to be her safe space." The words hung in the air. Karen thought about Emma Henderson, the shy 8-year-old who waved at her every morning on her way to school. She'd noticed the child's limp, but had never asked about it. "I didn't know," Karen said quietly. "That's just it," Sarah said, leaning forward. "None of us really know what's going on in each other's lives. Mrs. Chen's bird feeder. Her mom has good days and bad days, and watching the birds is sometimes the only thing that makes her smile. The Johnsons' garden gnomes? Their son made them in pottery class before he deployed to Afghanistan." Karen felt her carefully constructed worldview beginning to crack. "But the rules. The rules are important, Sarah agreed, but so are people. And right now, you're so focused on the rules that you're forgetting about the people they're supposed to protect. After Sarah left, Karen sat alone in her living room, staring at the untouched cookies. Her reflection in the dark window showed a woman she barely recognized, tired, isolated, and somehow smaller than she remembered being. She walked back to her office and looked at the corkboard covered in pool violations. For the first time, she saw it not as evidence of wrongdoing, but as a monument to her own loneliness. The Maple Grove Estates Community Center had never seen such a turnout. Karen stood at the front of the room, her hair now dried, but still bearing the frizzy remnants of her aquatic adventure. She'd changed into her most authoritative outfit, a navy blazer with shoulder pads that could have been classified as weapons. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, tapping her replacement clipboard for emphasis, "what happened today was not just an accident. It was a direct result of the Hendersons' flagrant disregard for our community standards." A murmur rippled through the crowd of about 40 residents. In the back, someone whispered, "Didn't she fall in because she wasn't watching where she was going?" Karen's ears were attuned to dissent like a bat to sonar. "I heard that, Margaret Chen, and I'll have you know that I was conducting a thorough safety inspection when I discovered just how dangerous that pool setup really is." Margaret, a retired teacher with zero patience for nonsense, stood up. "Karen, we all saw the video. You were backing up while yelling and fell in. The pool didn't attack you." The room erupted in a mixture of laughter and murmured agreement. Karen's face flushed red, but she pressed on with the determination of a bulldozer. "The point," she said, raising her voice above the chatter, "is that this pool violates at least 6 HOA regulations. I've documented everything." She held up a new stack of papers, these ones thankfully dry. Tom Rodriguez, the HOA president, looked exhausted. "Karen, we appreciate your dedication, but maybe we should discuss this privately with the Hendersons first." "No." Karen slammed her clipboard down on the podium. "I'm tired of everyone in this neighborhood thinking they can do whatever they want. First it was the Johnson's garden gnomes, then the Patel's unauthorized bird feeder, and now this." The bird feeder was for her grandmother who has Alzheimer's, someone called out. "She likes watching the birds." Karen's momentum faltered for just a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Regulations are regulations. If we start making exceptions, where does it end? Chaos, that's where." The room fell silent. Karen looked around at the faces staring back at her, some annoyed, some pitying, some openly hostile. For the first time, she felt a flicker of uncertainty. "Look," she continued, her voice softer now, "I know some of you think I'm difficult, but I'm trying to protect our property values, our community, everything we've worked for." An elderly man in the front row raised his hand. "Karen, honey, maybe the problem isn't the pool. Maybe it's how you're handling things." The words hit Karen like a physical blow. She stood there, clutching her clipboard, feeling the weight of 40 pairs of eyes judging her. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to be the hero, the one who kept their neighborhood beautiful and orderly. "Fine," she said finally, her voice tight with controlled emotion. "If you won't support me, I'll handle this myself. Don't come crying to me when your property values tank." She gathered her papers and strode toward the exit, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. But as she reached the door, she turned back. "The Hendersons have 30 days to bring that pool into compliance, or I'm filing a lawsuit." "That's not a threat, it's a promise." The door slammed behind her, leaving the room in stunned silence.